Noble people. My name is The Noble, and today we're doing a little bit of a different video. The last video I kind of made of, like, had to make that one. I didn't want to have to make that type of video, and trying to branch out and make other types of content because I do want to make other content that isn't like doing theories or kind of like reaction oriented stuff. I want to kind of do some let's play stuff. That's one of the things that I got me into doing YouTube, and I originally planned on doing that with Deltarune, but as you know, that didn't work out due to me not having the ability to record Deltarune when it came out for chapter 3 and 4. But with Danganronpa 2x2, I made a video when that game was announced, and Danganronpa is a game that's near to my heart. I have a ranking video ranking my entire top 10 favorite games of all time. It has such a huge impact on me. It's in my top 10 favorite games, like I said. And the fact that my favorite game of the franchise, the second one, is now getting like a different scenario with the same characters. So it's the same characters that I love from the second game, but reimagined. I love that. And the idea that we can have new victims, culprits, executions. Like, one of the main things that I don't like about Danganronpa 2 is the surviving cast. I think the surviving cast is a little weak, minus Fuyuhiko and Sonia, because I do like Sonia and Fuyuhiko, but besides that, I don't really like the remaining cast we do have that much. So when I saw this post by Big Man Nick, I believe, or Nuke, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I didn't actually know who this person was. They actually make decent content and really good content. I haven't seen usually when it comes down to like Danganronpa focused channels, sometimes they won't be consistent, but this person has been very consistent. They actually interact and do some like interviews and stuff with voice actors, and it's really fun and entertaining. I recommend you go check out their channel. But they have a 2x2 challenge where we can predict the victims, executions, and the survivors, and we can try and win some stuff. I figured I would just do a short little video going over my kind of predictions around this stuff. If you are a little bit worried, I do know some people in the comics are a little bit worried if you were to win, that would mean you got spoiled, as it says here. Most accurate prediction get 100. If you get perfect, you get 250. They have stated that they would purposely not say what you got right. And if it was, like, if you do get it perfect, I would assume you would be able to, they would wait for you to complete stuff or ask if you would, like, want it in general beforehand. Because, like, you getting ready to play the game and then suddenly you win this prize, but it turns out you get completely spoiled because your theories were correct. Would kind of be unfortunate, but luckily they have stated in the comments down here that it should be fine if that's just a little bit there. And if you guys want to do this yourself, we'll leave a link in the description. Only problem is you will have to be 18 plus to do this challenge, and you will need a Steam, Xbox, PS Network, or Switch account to be able to participate. Without further ado, let's begin this challenge. Now, before we begin, I figured I would read these rules as if you were going to try and do this then yourself, so then obviously I can read the rules, that way you know what's going on. Like I said before, have to be 18 to be able to do this, and obviously if you're affiliated with Spike Chunsoft, Tokyo Games, or anyone who is worked on Danganronpa 2x2 or is like a parent, spouse, relative, then that won't be allowed, as well as someone who is banned from this person's Discord server. So if you are banned from Nuke's Discord server, that's 100% understandable. I wouldn't let someone who I have banned who has been mean, horrible in my community. That makes sense. So if you have been bad in this community, then you are not allowed to participate. How to enter is very easy. Since this is going to be done with a gift card to whatever one you want, it's not going to be physical money. It will be in the form of a gift card. You will have to have a valid account on either Steam, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox to be able to get that. You will be missing submissions will be disqualified. The entry window is before the official launch, public release, or if there's a very, very verifiable leak that would be confirmed. I'm going to be honest, they've kept the stuff really tight, so I don't think we will get a leak, but if that case happened, do be aware of that. When it comes to determining the winner, it will be predicted, whoever scores the most will be, gets the most right, will be awarded the 100 prize, and in event of a tie, then it's determined by the Google form timestamp. You'll be contacted via Twitter DM or the account that you provided, and you will be rewarded that gift card. And if you get perfect, the award of the $100 gift card goes to $250, and this person has the right to disqualify them if they somehow modded, if you cheated it or something, somehow after the fact you went back and tried to get it so you got perfect score to try and get that 250, obviously they have the right to suspend and nullify your win because you cheated. And then also, this is how the score is going to go. I'll read this actually outright verbatim. Each chapter starts by earning you points from chapter 1. Think each chapter as their own team in a March Madness bracket. Each chapter is a round. As long as your team keeps winning, surviving, you keep earning points. The moment your team gets eliminated, the character dies, the points stop. These points are your living score. You earn a multiplier bonus if you correctly pick the role, the correct chapter of the death, or if you correctly pick them as a survivor. Those are known as the right killer bonus, right victim bonus, and right survivor bonus, respectively. You may select as many killers, victims, and survivor as you wish. Go wild. However, only one of these 3 bonuses may be applied per character, so you cannot have multiple ones applied. Your living score is multiplied by the above right killer bonus, right victim bonus, or right survivor bonus. If the picked is correct, the combined score and bonuses are your individual character score. Finally, combine all 16 individual character scores to get your final score. This is the total for your challenge, no further opportunities. Now, if that sounded a little bit complicated, that is kind of the point. And they said this, again, I will calculate too much for you. Please do not worry about this too much. It literally says right here, but if you are a nerd, feel free to read my methodology. I think it's kind of cool how this kind of thing will go, especially with how complicated it gets. It states down here that you have a 1 and that number, I'm not even going to attempt to try and say how much that is, and that's 14 times harder than trying to get a perfect March Madness bracket. You can see these images down here that if you want to make them higher resolution, they're super high definition, so if you somehow do nail this, you're insanely lucky. Now, without further ado, let's hop into actually guessing and trying to do this challenge. They have some music here if you want to listen to some music. It recommends opening a notepad, but I won't do this for this video. And it also states that the asterisks next here will be unlikely things to happen. In Danganronpa, usually in the 6th chapter, if it goes to the 6th chapter, usually there really isn't a killer. Sometimes there could be a victim. Usually that's the case of the mastermind in 1 and 2, and the only one that I can remember that actually has an insane last one, I think 3. I forget how many chapters 3 has. I think 6, maybe not. But if that were to be the case, how would it play out? So without further oh my god, my brain died. Without further ado, let's kind of try and start this. All right, if that cut sounded a little bit weird, it is because I rambled for way too long, into the point where this video that was supposed to be super short became way too long. So I decided to actually get a notepad open and try and break some of this down. So first off, let's actually go over the survivors and my thoughts. First off, I really want Imposter to survive. I feel like Imposter is such an interesting character that unfortunately didn't get expanded upon in the games too much. As far as I can remember, in the actual anime, he did get expanded upon mainly with the stuff that was going on with the Ultimate Animator, which I forget that person's name. Sorry. It's been a little bit since I've watched it. But I feel like there could be very interesting story aspects, especially if the imposter is actually impersonating someone else, like the Ultimate Animator. So that could be very interesting. And I feel like having the character that goes from dying like chapter 1 to making it all the way through could have a very interesting story arc. Going on to the other survivor, I am a very, very big survivor for Mihiro becoming the protagonist of the story. I feel like out of anyone who could be a different protagonist other than like Chiaki or Nagito, which we do get a protag swap in the middle of chapter 4 in the original game. I feel like Mihiro could be a very interesting protagonist to have for the rest of the game, and we haven't had a main Danganronpa game have a female protagonist longer than one chapter. I don't count Ultra Despair Girls as that's a spin-off and also has its own can of worms with stuff, and we only get one chapter with Kaede in V3. So I think it would be really cool if we could actually have a female protagonist that lasts an actual all the way through the game and kind of develops the character, as you don't get to really spend too much time with Mihiro unless you do like her side mission stuff, and not getting to learn the character makes me excited for this possibility, or at least excited for the possibility that she might be a survivor, maybe not a protag, but how I am saying this, I hope she is the protag. Next up is Survivor Hiyoko. I don't really see why Hiyoko wouldn't die, especially because I feel like Hiyoko is such an interesting character that kind of gets stunted halfway through her arc because of chapter 3 and just kind of dies, and I would like to see her to survive and see if they could try and take an interesting direction with her character, because it started to go in a little bit of direction, especially because a lot of the point of her character has to do with Mihiro. So having us, the player, be Mihiro could have an interesting different dynamic where instead, while Hiyoko is kind of more aggressive towards like us playing as Hajime, maybe us playing as Mihiro, it would be a little bit of a different story, and I think that could be a little bit cool. And Negomaru, this one's probably going to get people a little bit mad. I feel like there's always one character in every game where like, why did they make it through? And in terms of 2, most of the surviving cast is confusing. Not most, I should say. Some people don't like Sonia, but I do like Sonia. Pretty much the main majority, at least that I see, people only think Fuyuhiko should have survived, and they think the rest of the cast that survived, besides Hajime, doesn't make too much sense, which is fair because I don't really like Soda, and Akane is kind of okay, and there could be much more interesting characters to have survive. That being said, I feel like there is going to be a character that you wouldn't think survive. That happens in the first game with I forget his name. Yasuhiro, him surviving that long. And in the third game, I would say Sumugi doesn't really count because Sumugi is the mastermind of that game, so it doesn't necessarily count. What's the magician girl's name? My brain dies. I haven't played V3 or thought about V3 in so long. Oh no, I like that character too. It's not Tenko. Himiko, that's the name. Oh my gosh, like how did I forget that? I do like Himiko, but it is kind of confusing on how she survived that long. But I really do think that there is a character where you're just like, oh, okay. And also Nekomaru is like a nice character. I don't see him being a killer, and I don't think he would be a victim again because he already was a victim. Then we get to another one. The last one is Chiaki. I think Chiaki Survivor is very interesting. If you don't know Chiaki's stuff with the anime and in the game, Chiaki is the like betrayer that we have in the game. Spoilers, obviously, but you should know this going into this video. And I think the idea of someone who is like technically a traitor or technically like not really a part of this surviving to the end, especially during like the last trial 6 like big reveals, I feel like there could be a possibility of having an insane uh chapter 6 reveals and stuff. Maybe it's different than the last chapter 6 in the original game. I think there could be some interesting stuff happen. Now, it's not trying to go into any particular order to try and wrap this up a little bit quicker, as it seems a little bit all over the place. Teratero, victim of chapter 2, and his killer will be Soda. I think hitting 2 birds with 1 stone is funny to me. I don't imagine Teratero would survive because there's a reason they had him be the killer in the first one. I think it would be kind of lazy for them to just have him be the victim in trial 1, and I really don't want him to survive. Out of anyone, I cannot have him survive, or at least if he survives, he has to like get better like insanely quickly, but I don't know if that would happen. And I feel like Kazuichi could definitely have like maybe a vehicle related like motive or something like that. Maybe he wants to try and get off the island and he kills Teratero for that. I can 100% see something like that. Next one is the dreaded 3rd chapter. 3rd chapter always is the double murder, and I want Sonia to be the killer with this, and I want her to kill Gundam and Peko. Now, I'm going to be honest, Peko is a little bit of like kind of tacked on. Gundam is obviously always like going to be tied to Sonia with their rapport in the original game, and I feel like it would be very interesting to have that dynamic kind of be twisted and shattered right in the 3rd game, because that's like kind of like the halfway point of like, I feel like right towards the end of 2 is like the halfway point, or sorry, 3 is the halfway point you think of, but then you realize you have a lot more to go. And I think there could be an interesting twist. Hopefully they do the double murder stuff well. I do wish this place had an option to have 2 killers in there. Technically, I could put another killer in here, but I want it to be the case where there's 2 killers, but that other killer doesn't die. I think it would be really interesting if one of my survivors, say the imposter killed someone, but if you don't know, in V3, if you kill after someone else already killed, that doesn't count. So I think it would be very interesting if there were to be a killer that survives in the main group and you kind of have to deal with that. That was already kind of a dynamic that we had with Fuyuhiko in the original game, because Hiyoko viewed him as being the one responsible for Peko and Mihiru's death. So I think that could be very interesting, but we'll just have to wait and see. For chapter 4, I have Fuyuhiko being the victim and Akane being the killer. This one, I don't really know too much how this would happen. I simply don't think either of these, since these characters both survive, I don't feel like they would survive again, so I kind of have to have them. 4 is always kind of be an interesting chapter. We know in the original game, Gundam only killed out of necessity to be able to have people to survive, to sacrifice himself for the group. I don't know if something like that would happen. Akane is very kind of head rush and like attacks. I mean, we literally see that. That's how we get the Mekumaru in the original game. So I can see her maybe lashing out at Fuyuhiko somehow. That could be interesting. 5, I have Ibuki killer and Mikan victim. This is also kind of another This is also like the flip-flop, I guess, with them, because originally Mikan kills Ibuki. I don't know too much. I wanted to have a killer that I wouldn't expect. I don't expect Ibuki to be a killer in a million years. Same thing with that's kind of why I put Nekomaru as being a survivor, as I can't see Nekomaru being a killer. And since he was already a victim, I put him in survivor. But I didn't want to put Mikan in survivor because we'd have too many survivors, obviously. There has to be someone who dies each chapter. And I feel like there could be somewhat of an interesting twist if Ibuki kills someone somehow. If the twist is right, hopefully we don't have any of the stupid despair disease stuff. But I am very proud of this stuff. Let me know your thoughts on your theories and whatnot. I think it is just me going to write in to submit this. I don't want money. I'm doing this for the love of the game. That's kind of funny. I recommend you all go and do this. This is very fun. I'm super excited. I hope the fact that we're getting more and stuff coming up, like the announcement of it being on Epic and stuff, means it might be releasing soon. I'm hoping we'll get something at, like, I don't know if State of Play would have something. I don't know if, like, the Summer Games Festival had anything. Maybe we would get an announcement soon. But yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Stay noble. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.